The balance between life and death can be precarious. Anna Adams wakes up every morning, goes to work, and comes home at night to her dog. That doesn't mean she's living. After suffering the worst pain imaginable, Anna is trying to make it through each day. The smile on her face means nothing. All that matters is the turmoil that is going on inside her head. As Anna learns to open up to others and embarks on a new relationship, she finds that letting life in is harder than she anticipated. Perhaps she's moved too fast and needs to focus on healing before opening herself up to more pain and disappointment. Will Anna learn her lesson, or will it be too late for her? This novella focuses on the importance of putting your mental health first, a reminder that you never know what someone is hiding beneath their smile. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I am your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today's video sees me once again return to Elizabeth Holland's bibliography with a look at what I think is one of the first books she has ever written, The Balance Between Life and Death. I have to say, revisiting Elizabeth Holland is somewhat strange, because even though I consistently refer to her work as mediocre, I still think she has. The stories she writes are interesting and filled with potential. And because I'm an eternal optimist, I always want to see if she, lives up to her potential, or if her works actually manage to capitalize upon it. Which is what also draws me to The Balance Between Life and Death. I first got this book around a year ago, if I am to be completely honest. And my initial thought was to read and review it before winter, but I decided to push it back now. Not necessarily so that the review comes out on the anniversary of its release, though that is a very welcome secondary benefit, but because I thought that this book has the potential of being a 5 out of 5 read, and I wanted to space those out at least a little. Why do I think it has the potential to be to receive my highest rating? Well, because mental health is a theme that Elizabeth constantly revisits in basically every book she has ever written, and I wanted to delve into that. I wanted to see how well she's able to explore that in a book that is explicitly involves mental health as its main theme. Because I thought that exploring that idea in as intimate a way as I know Elizabeth is capable of would elevate this book to my highest rating. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off right now and say that this book isn't a 5 out of 5 read. What rating do I give it instead? Well, before I reveal that, I want to first explain the motivations behind the rating I am giving it. The plot of this book follows Anna Adams as she starts attending therapy, and as she gets to know a new, sassy, and quite attractive coworker. These combined changes that influence her life lead to her reevaluating her relationship with herself and with her past. If this plot synopsis sounds disappointingly vague, I'm afraid that's really all I can give you without breaking my spoiler policy, because revealing any more really will just reveal everything that makes up this book. It is written in a very straightforward manner in that way. Also, the one major twist that I think this book brings is the late appearance of one particular character. One could almost call it a Deus Ex Machina, but I won't, because I think it actually makes sense within the narrative context presented. Okay, now with that disclaimer out of the way, what is it about this book that makes it stand out? The first thing I want to mention, and really the first thing that I think anyone will notice is just how well and just how much care is given to Anna herself and how she is handled. Her plight is presented in a very easy to follow, very understandable manner. Like from the opening pages, you understand what it is that she is going through. However, as the book progresses and more about her past and her history is revealed, it becomes all the more maybe not obvious, but the tableau of her of the condition of her mind becomes that much more vivid, that much more authentic, and you get to understand her own struggles and her own identity better, which also includes what it is that she intends to do, where it is that her interests lie, and what she finds particularly interesting and engaging to pursue. So yeah, in that sense, she's written quite well. The problem is she is basically she's perhaps not the only character who is written well, but the style in which this book is written is almost makes her the only character who does actually have good writing behind them. Because Elizabeth really writes in a very straightforward, matter-of-fact kind of way. And that includes not just the ways she describes her setting, but also how she talks about her characters, especially within her work. Which means that within her stories, the only characters who she's really able to effectively flesh out and help come to life are those who are in some manner like her, either straightforward pragmatists or empathetic caregivers. That sassy love interest I mentioned earlier in the video when I was talking about the plot synopsis. Well, when Anna decides to get more serious with him and actually tell him about her struggles with mental health, all of his snarky and comedic edges drop, and he just becomes a blandly empathetic character. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I think that this character should have cracked a joke while she was giving her explanation, her presentation of all the things that she has confronted. But I think the way or it comes across as such to me, that the way he had been presented so far doesn't match the reaction the novella wants its readers to believe this character would have. In trying to give this character some hidden depth, Elizabeth somewhat ironically reveals that she doesn't actually know how to write that depth. But still, that is not the biggest, and that is perhaps still not the biggest problem that that her writing has. That biggest problem comes more from from her attempts at trying to, from when her attempts to write a character as being pragmatic reveal that said character actually has a very limited understanding of pragmatism. And I'm going to quote two examples of that, both of which feature the main character, unfortunately enough. The first one is Anna mentioning how displeased she is that she is stuck in rush hour traffic during her commute. While I was reading that, all I could think of is, why doesn't she get a bike? Like, why does she need a car to get around in a town that is described as small and touristy? What does she get from using a car that she would not, what is irreplaceable about her using a car? Why doesn't she seek out a bike? Does she not know how to ride a bike? What keeps her from, what kept her from learning about that? And why did that solution never, never come to her? Is this just some continental solution that she is too British to figure out for herself? Also, there's at one point in the book hinted that she is somewhat cavalier towards her self-care, even though she is acutely aware of her mental health struggles. Wouldn't she, at some point during her mental health struggles, realize that that those two facets are connected? That taking care of herself allows her to also have better mental health? Like, that's just a little weird, I'll have to say. And now I know the one argument people will make at this point, that of course she wouldn't think of it like that, because she has mental health issues, and those are much more at the forefront of her mind, and therefore she would not consider that, which does have a tendency to backfire quite tremendously, because you're therefore saying that she doesn't really have any. You're denying her development, her ability to grow as a person, by replacing her thought processes with just she's mentally ill. I'm going to give Elizabeth the benefit of a doubt and assume she wasn't this callous. I'll assume she was just the thought simply didn't cross her mind, which is the better of the available options. Thankfully, there are some things that help elevate the experience. First of all, the quality of the setting presentation is as good as it has been in any of Elizabeth's works. That is one aspect where her straightforward pragmatism does indeed benefit the story quite a bit. And I'll say the last third or last quarter of the book is actually done very well, and it does a great job at addressing the central conflict the novella has been built around. I can at least say it has a strong ending, but I also want to add that this book could use a content warning for suicide, which I haven't really noticed in any point when looking through its marketing. Maybe she didn't want to spoil people, but still, I think people can deal with a little bit of spoilers if it helps them avoid trauma. Overall, while I think the central premise of the narrative is explored quite well, and with all the details and respect that it really needs, and it really suits it, a lot of the aspects around the central premise are not given similar levels of attention and care, and therefore bring the overall quality of the story down. My final rating for the balance between life and death is a 3 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like, maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to the video, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then, please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Empire Next Generation, is available at most major book retailers under a master link in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. I also have a Patreon in case you want to support me more directly. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been The Heir's Lair.